This is FE Peer Review. The date is October the 30th, 2021. Blackpool to Crag. Does Roohif's prediction match my model? You may pause here and read this if you wish. I am going to move on. In my previous video, I created a 3D model in SketchUp, recreating the observation from Southport across Blackpool to Crag. In that model, I created both a flat Earth version and a globe Earth version, with the globe Earth version using 7/6R to account for atmospheric refraction. The question we looked at in that model was, does Crag rise up above the top of Blackpool Tower as the viewer at 5 meters elevation moves away from Blackpool? This was the big question. You see, flat earthers who have commented on my video have stated, and geometrically I think this makes sense for a flat earth, they have stated that invariably always the taller, more distant object will rise up above the shorter, closer object if you get far enough back. At some distance away, the taller, more distant object will always rise above the shorter, closer object. Now on a flat earth, as we're going to see in some diagrams I've got, in a flat earth, that would be correct. On a globe earth, the situation's different. It depends. It depends on the ratios of the heights and the ratios of the distances. In some cases, only some cases, the taller, more distant object can rise above the closer, shorter object. But, big but, in other cases, the taller, more distant object will not rise above the closer, shorter object. And that happens to be the case with Blackpool Tower, Crag, and an observer height of 5 meters at Southport. We saw that. Now, if you're at 5 meters at Southport and you keep moving back, and we saw this in the previous video, Crag will rise up as you're moving back. However, it will not rise above the top of Blackpool Tower. By the time you get a certain distance back, it has already disappeared below the horizon before it ever overtakes the top of Blackpool Tower. Blackpool Tower remains visible, the top of it remains visible after Crag has sunk below the horizon. Okay, so we saw that in the last video. So when I made that 3D model, I got my numbers for heights and distances from Roohif, from analyses that Roohif has done. I wanted to be consistent with the data he was using, because there's been a bit of variations in the data that's been used by various people, and I thought I would at least try to be consistent with one of them. So I picked Roohif, and Roohif then came by my video and made a very interesting comment. It contained a prediction, and prediction is a very important thing. I mean, there was a time in the distant past where a person who could predict the future was like a god. I mean, they were worshipped. They could be worshipped. I mean, what tremendous power to know what's going to happen in the future. Well, Roohif made a prediction. Now, Roohif's not a god. I don't think so anyway. But he is very good at math. And he used math to make his prediction. And in his prediction, what he said, and you'll see it here, I'll bring up his comment. And I will illustrate this comment, which you'll see it in a moment. He said that if you get far enough away from Blackpool Tower and you go up a certain amount, yes, there will be a point, if you go back and up, where Crag overtops Blackpool Tower. And he used math to predict where that spot is. He said, I've plugged all the numbers in, and the closest that line of sight gets to the circle is 33.7 meters, and it happens about 43.3 kilometers from Blackpool Tower. So what he said was that if you were to draw a line between the top of Crag and the top of Blackpool Tower and continue that line out, maybe I'll move to the diagrams. We'll look at it on the diagrams. Okay, we're looking at the bottom diagram here. On the right, I have Crag. I'm showing a globe curved surface, and of course these are not to scale. I've exaggerated things so that they're easier to see. Dow Crag on the right, a curved ground surface, a Blackpool Tower where I'm circling the mouse, and our observer at the left end. So if we draw a line from the top of Dow Crag to the top of Blackpool Tower and continue extending that line out forever, it will not intersect the ground plane of Earth. But at a certain location, it will achieve its closest point to the ground plane. And that distance is 43.3 kilometers from Blackpool Tower. And the closest it gets is 33.7 meters. So if you were to go out 43.3 kilometers from Blackpool Tower and go up 33.7 meters, your line of sight, the top of Blackpool Tower would align with Dow Crag. The upper diagram, that is a flat Earth diagram based on the original observation of 5 meters. Not a part of our discussion now. But the bottom diagram is. So what I have done is I have gone into my original 3D model to see if it matches what Roohif predicted, because prediction is a very powerful thing. I mean, there was a time in the past when a person who could predict the future was godlike. I mean, it was a tremendous power. People would be practically worshipped for the power to predict. Now, Roohif, I admire quite a bit. I don't think he's godlike. I think he's very smart. And he's used not magic to make his prediction, but math and science based on observations of the natural environment. So we're going to check his prediction in my SketchUp 3D model here. Now, this is the same model we saw before. I've made one or two very minor adjustments to it. Nothing important related to the data, but more about how it looks, just so we can see things more easily. I have given Dow Crag a vertical straight face. The top of Dow Crag and the bottom is mean sea level. And I've divided that face into 10 equal parts. I did that so that when we do our observation, we can easily see how much of it has been hidden by the horizon. So I've divided the height in 10 parts for that reason. Now, a quick walk through. We have here where I'm circling the mouse and zooming in, that's our Blackpool Tower. And then our original 5 meter high observation point was this little gadget right here. The crosshairs is 5 meters above the ground. And then I have added a second observation point. Wrong one. Here at the 33.7 meter height and at the distance of 40, whatever his number was, 43.3 kilometers away. So what we're going to do is we're going to go first back to our Blackpool, our original observation. We're going to zoom in here. Here's our little station point. All these things station points. And we're going to put our viewpoint right there, so we're not going to see the crosshairs because it's going to be like on our forehead. So here we are, standing at the beach at Southport, 5 meters above the beach, looking at Blackpool Tower, and we see Dow Crag beyond. The top of Dow Crag is below the tower, as is in the photograph, and we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 tenths, 55% roughly, of Dow Crag, with the other 4.5 or 45% being hidden below the horizon. So a quick walkthrough of the model before we look at Roohif's prediction. On the upper right, we see Dow Crag. In the middle, we see Blackpool Tower. This middle dashed line here is the alignment that shows the location of our original Southport view, 5 meters above the ground. And then the bottom dashed line here is the distance predicted by Roohif. And he had said from Blackpool Tower to his predicted location, 43.3 kilometers. We see that there with the little tape measure. Let me do that again, closer up. from Blackpool Tower to the new observer location, 43.3 kilometers. And that there is our station point, and the distance above the ground is 33.7 meters. So we will go first to the original Southport observation. And then we will go to Roohif's predicted location. And we see that the top of Blackpool Tower and the top of Crag align. They meet. So Roohif's prediction that the top of Crag would rise to match the top of Blackpool Tower only if you both moved back and moved up is borne out by the model that I made, which was done entirely independently of Roohif, other than I used his data for the height of Crag, the height of Blackpool Tower, and the distance between them. Everything else I did myself, and what I came up with matches what he came up with. So Roohif can predict the future. We know that if we go to that spot, that's what we'll see. Well, I think that's enough said. If you liked this video, please click that like button, do the subscribe thing, ring the bell, and invite your friends. Oh, and of course, leave comments. Have a great day. Bye-bye.